You getting it twisted, getting all jelly, cause you think I'm with them, but you know you not ready. My truth got me up at 6 a.m. Tapping in the Zoom, cause my God is the REM. Straight up, he died for me. When I pull up, I know he got me. Don't play faves, we all his queens. When they say woman, they mean God.
Welcome to this episode of Determined Women of Destiny. I am your host, Yvonne, the Motivator Man, and my guest today for everyone who is a podcaster. You are going to be happy that you tuned in. My guest is a virtual assistant, a podcast strategist, a mother of a son that loves hockey, and she loves hockey too, a wife, paralegal background, and I'm already tired of trying to introduce my guest. And I'm going to let her say her name because I'm not going to mess it up, but it's so beautiful. It rolls off your tongue. So, good day. Thank you for coming on the show. Aeoliana.
Yes. Great job, Yvonne. Yes.
You see how beautiful that name is? I just didn't want to mess it up.
You did great. You did great.
I welcome you to the show. And I just know you have so much information for us, so much to tell us about what a virtual assistant is, best ways for a podcast, but more than anything, what about the legal issues? that would be good too. So again, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Yvonne. I'm really glad to be here.
So how did you start the process of all the things that you do? What came first, the chicken or the egg? The or the virtual assistant, the podcast and the mother, the wife, the hockey? Which came first?
Okay, so all of it blended mostly together. So let's start with the wife. So my husband and I met when we were in junior high school. Oh. We dated in junior high school. We got back together in high school. We got married after college. And I've worked as a paralegal for over 20 years. Criminal, family, probate, estate planning, personal injury, state attorney's office. I was a probation officer for 3 years. And then from there in 2019, so right before COVID, 2018, I got sick. I had a kidney infection, 2 different kidney infections that put me in the hospital, and the law firm I was working for fired me while I was in the hospital. So, from there,
not so,
yeah. They let me go. They said they were going in a different direction was their caveat to it. So luckily my brother was working for a construction company because I needed something and I needed it fast. Our son was 4 at the time, I believe. I don't know times. He's 11 now. This was 2019, so I don't know. So he was in hockey, he was in private school, and so we needed something to cover. So my husband works full time, and my brother got me a job doing scheduling for a construction company, and I've been doing that since 2019. So the way the podcast strategy came along, or the way the podcasting came along, during COVID, I still had my job. So we were considered essential workers. So I didn't have the time off like everyone else did. I didn't get to work from home. I still had to drive to the office and everything like that because it was construction. And I had a lot of time on my hands. So I started listening to podcasts. First, I love true crime podcasts. So that's where I started. And then I realized the learning potential that podcasts have. There's so much information out there, and you can just, whatever you want to talk about, whatever you want to share, whatever's in your heart, you can put it on a podcast and reach the people that you want to reach that maybe you didn't get a chance to otherwise. So I looked into virtual assisting because I wanted to work from home, which didn't work out. I'm still not doing that, but we'll get there. And So initially I started doing virtual assisting for law firms, but realized very quickly that they wanted a full-time assistant that you would have in an office at the price of a virtual assistant. And so that, that wasn't going to work. They wanted 10, 12 hours a day for virtual assistant prices. So basically a virtual assistant is someone who from their home or remote, they help business owners with emails, drafting documents, dealing with customers, anything you can have a secretary for, a virtual assistant can do. So from there, I realized that I could do podcast management. I love podcasts and I always wondered how they were set up in the background. So I started learning how to record, how to edit, how to do show notes, how to do descriptions, how to get them on the platforms and things like that. And from there, I started realizing that a lot of people who were calling to speak with me, a lot of clients, needed help with the strategy background, like how to monetize, how to grow. They were getting stuck. And so I had a client of mine who said, you know what? You should be a consultant. You should do podcast consulting. And so that's where that came from. That's where the strategist came from. And so basically what I do is I help female podcasters launch their podcasts using heart-centered strategies and individualized focus. So I don't like the cookie cutter ways of monetizing your podcast. I understand people like to do ads and things like that, but I think for me, the authentic voice and the authentic way you share it is more important than how many views you have or how many listeners you have, because if you're not reaching the right people, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much money you spend on it. So I think heart-centered, service first, integrity, authenticity, giving yourself grace. And so I infuse a lot of mindset into my podcast strategy and how I help my clients. So basically, like, take care of yourself. You need to make sure that, yeah, sure, you can batch record and do a bunch of episodes, but if you're burnt out and you're tired from being a mom, from being a wife, from all of those things, because it happens, you need to take, you can take a break. You need to take time out. And like you said, my son plays hockey, so we're here in Florida, we're on a year-round hockey schedule. So we just started a couple of weeks ago. And so weekends, that's where we are. And, so that's me in a nutshell.
Well, when you were describing the esoteric podcast, I was sitting here with a nod inside saying, that's Determined Women of Destiny. When I decided to do this, it was to give female business owners a platform to advertise, because we know advertising and marketing is very expensive, and a lot of businesses. I had 3 businesses that hit the skids, and the one thing I learned was advertising and marketing and just not having the money for it. So I said, hey, that would be great. But then I started meeting women from all walks of life, and I was like, I can't just say business. Women have passion for other things and they're pursuing it. And I just want to give that information out there to inspire and motivate women and to inform them. Like, you're a podcast strategist, right? Being a podcaster, one of the things we look for is to monetize, right?
Yep.
So YouTube tells us, well, if you get ads, then you'll get money and, you'll monetize. But I'm like, but what? I don't want your ads.
Right. Yeah.
Your ads may not be in line with my platform.
Right. Right.
I was with another organization and I was on a radio and television platform, and I have nothing against psychics. If they want to do it, knock themselves out. I don't buy into that. And there was a commercial in my show for a psychic. And I'm like, wait a minute, hold on.
Right.
It's not my platform. And I couldn't say anything because it's not mine,
Right.
but now that it's mine, I can do whatever I want to do.
Yeah, there you go. You go, girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
So,
that's something that I hear a lot is, you know, a lot of people don't think of, they want to do a podcast and they have an idea and they know what they want to talk about, but they don't think beyond that. And so to me, podcast is like a blog. So it's long form content. I can't even talk today. It's like long form content. So it's not something that you're going to go viral in 3 episodes. So one of the things that I teach is making sure that when you're creating your content, when you're creating your idea, like I know a lot of people will say you can launch your podcast in a weekend. Yeah, you can,
yeah.
but you don't have the background and the strategies in the background that when you get to episode, 9 or 10, you're going to burn out because you have nothing else to say, or you're tired from all the background work because you didn't set it up properly, or you decide to quit because it's not monetizing or it's not growing the way you think it should, but you didn't set it up to do that. You just set it up to see who was coming in, but nobody knows you're there.
Right.
So nobody's listening.
And see, this season is season 7 for me. And I reached out to all the groups I was involved with, all the women's groups, and said, hey, I want to showcase women over 45, because after COVID, women over 45 said, I ain't taking this mess no more. It's something called the Great Retirement.
I'm 44, so I got you. Yeah.
It was the Great Recession.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's the Great Retirement. And so women are like, you know what? I'm going to take that package deal, right?
Yeah.
Hey, guess what? It's not even a package. I'm just out. I've been doing this part-time business and it became a full-time business during COVID. Zoom has given us the opportunity to reach the world. We're not even going to talk about StreamYard and all those other platforms.
Yeah.
So women are like, you know what? I'm not going to spend the rest of my life working. What I'm going to do is I want to start pursuing my passion.
Right. Let the women do the work.
And I wanted to hear those stories,
Yeah.
not only just for my listeners, but for myself, because it encourages me to keep going forward.
Yeah.
In my mind, I'm like the next Lisa Nichols, right?
Yeah. 7 seasons. That's amazing, Yvonne. That's so good.
I'm still here. I'm still plugging it out. I don't have 1,000 subscribers. I don't get 1.5 thousand viewers on my videos, but that's not what I'm looking for. My videos have soul. They have information. There's not one person that I haven't interviewed that could not give at least one person information for their life to change. So for me, that's a really, really good thing.
And that's what it's all about. Like another thing I have with some of my clients is that they're expecting they're gauging their success by someone else's. And I'm like, no, I mean, it's important to you to reach one person and to change one person's life. If you do that, you're successful. It doesn't matter what the numbers show. It doesn't matter any of that, because all those people with millions of viewers, who knows how much they paid for ads and what they're getting back for that. And they're not reaching the right type of people. Like my coach always says that if it's meant for you, you can't mess it up. The right people are there for you. It doesn't matter. You go out there, you share your voice, you share your message, you share what you need to share, and you do it from a place of authenticity and from your heart, and you speak from your heart. And, I'm a woman of faith. So, God will tell you what to say. God will put in your heart what he wants you to share. And you're his vessel, and you do what you need to do, and the rest will take care of itself.
Absolutely. And on that note, I'm going to break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about that podcast strategy and that virtual assistant, because I know there's a whole lot of people that's going to be watching this show that's going to say, I need both. So as I always say, come right back. It's during the school year. I know you got homework to do for your kids. You're probably cooking dinner. Turn the stove off, turn the pot down, tell the kids shut up, get in the bathtub, and y'all come right back.
Sis, you are your ancestors' wildest dreams. Everything that our foremothers dreamed of, you are. Those women were snatched from their homeland, brought to a country that had a climate they didn't know and a language they couldn't understand, but yet they survived. And you, sis, you are the designated survivor. Purchase this journal. It will guide you through scripture so that you could jot down your hopes, your dreams, and desires to live the life that you've been waiting to live and that your ancestors died and fought for. Go to lulu.com, make your purchase today. That's LULU.com.
And welcome back. If you're just tuning in, I'm Yvonne, the Motivator Man. I've had the pleasure to speak with Aeolina.
Yes.
I did it right.
Yes. There you go. You're on it, girl. You are on it.
Her name is so beautiful. So
Thank
beautiful.
you.
And we have been talking about podcasting, virtual assisting, hockey, and her past as a paralegal. And before I go any further, I'm smiling because somebody's saying she didn't say it yet. She didn't say it yet. If you're just tuning in, shame on you. You should have been here in the beginning, but that's okay. You're just going to rewind it, go to the beginning, and you're just going to watch the whole show over again because there's so much information. Listen, if you're just tuning in or if you came in from the beginning, call your girlfriends, call your mama, call your aunties, your cousins that are doing podcasting that may need a virtual assistant, because this young lady with me today is the person you want to contact. Absolutely. So tell us a little bit more about this virtual assistant thing. I know you had said before we went on break about a company you were involved with. They wanted 10 to 12 hours at virtual assistant prices, but they really wanted you to be like an office assistant. So what type of prices, what's the fee for a virtual assistant?
So it depends. Some virtual assistants, like there's a lot of virtual assistants overseas, like in the Philippines and stuff like that, that'll have lower prices. I started mine between 20 and 25 per hour. And I would usually do blocks of time. So I would do, like, when I was doing the virtual assisting, I would do like, $300 for a block of 25 hours. And then, they would pay, when those 25 hours were done, they would redo the $300, and then it was an ongoing thing. So it's just basically like anything that a secretary can do, a virtual assistant can do. So that includes your emails, your documents, cleaning up your Google Drive if you have that, calling clients if you need someone to do customer service. Virtual assistants can do that. I don't do any of that stuff anymore, but I have access to some wonderful ladies and some great groups that do the virtual assisting still. And if any of your listeners need those types of contacts, I can definitely look at that. I know I'm not promoting them, but Upwork and Fiverr are two places where virtual assistants look for work as well. So if anybody's interested in doing stuff like that, those are places to look at. As far as the podcast strategy, so I do. Do you want me to talk about my prices for the podcast strategy, or
you can, or you could just extend the information that you're talking about, and then we'll just give the listeners information about how to contact you.
Okay, perfect. I'll just give you that for the show notes. Yeah. So basically, I won't talk about the prices or anything. So basically what I do, what I help with is the strategy to launch your podcast the right way. But if you already have a podcast and you're feeling kind of stuck, then I can come in and we can sit down virtually and talk about where you are, what you're missing, what your goals are, what success means to you, how you can monetize both directly and indirectly. how you can organically grow your audience, making sure that your content is saying the things that you want it to say, it's speaking to the people you want it to speak to. One of the big things that people forget about is SEO, search engine optimization. A lot of people don't know that podcasts now can be searchable on Google. So even something as simple as the name of your podcast or the name of your episodes, if someone's looking for that, we can go in and change work towards changing the way you title your episodes or the
Okay,
descriptions. Yep.
so for the SEO, right?
Mhm.
Determined Women of Destiny. If somebody's looking for determination, if somebody's looking for women and they put that in, my
Right.
show should pop up.
It should. Yeah, it should. Yeah, it
Okay.
should. But it's Google, so
It is.
Google ads lead the way. So it's still something that, you still need a little bit more time in there, but it does make it a little bit easier to find you.
Okay.
Um,
What about these hashtags? Because I'm hashtagging myself to death. Hashtag Yvonne, the motivated man. Hashtag the 10 Women of Destiny. Hashtag season 7. Hashtag she's making magic happen. Hashtag. Now, are these hashtags as important as we've been led to believe?
So that's yes and no. So the thing with hashtags is that you want to make sure you're not using hashtags that are overused. So let's say, women business owners. That probably is a hashtag that has billions and billions of uses. Now yours, the first one you said, the Yvonne, the motivator
Man.
that's probably one that isn't used by many people but you.
Right.
So when you put that hashtag out, it's going to link to you because you're the only one using it. So just this is the same thing as if you were like doing Instagram or TikTok, where you can use the hashtags and it's good to use them because it'll link people to you. Just don't use them when they're, when you see that there's like billions and billions of uses for it.
See, we were under the impression if you do, like I always put hashtag trust the process. There's a million. So what you're saying is that hashtag trust the trust the process, and it's a million. I'm getting lost in the sauce there.
Right. So yeah, that's the thing with hashtags is people can find you, but the more the hashtag is used, the more you get lost in the mix.
Okay.
Because you're competing with all those people that used the hashtag. If that makes sense.
Yes, it does, because you click on the hashtag when you create it, right? You click on it because there's so many different views on it. So you're like, hey, if they've got all those views, somebody's going to see me. But we didn't know that you really rather have 500 views than 5 million.
Right, because you're going to get lost. It's like a needle in a haystack. So you may have a hashtag, someone might look it up, but you're not going to be the first person that's going to show up when they look up that hashtag. So the best thing with that would be to make sure that everything links to your main source. So if you have a blog, make sure, all your socials link to that blog. If you have a podcast, make sure everything links to your podcast. If you have a Facebook group, make sure everything links to that Facebook group. TikTok, Instagram, make sure everything links to one place. That way it doesn't matter where people find you, they're always going to be rerouted to your one big source of information.
Oh, now see, that's mind blowing right there. Because I've got a Facebook Yvonne Man, right? I've been trying to make it Yvonne the motivated man. It won't let me.
That's a bummer. That's a great name.
Thank you. I have Determined Women of Destiny page and group. Then I'm over at TikTok as Determined Women of Destiny. No, Yvonne Man. And Instagram, Determined _women _ Destiny. Now everybody's saying right now underscores aren't the thing to do, but underscore used to be the thing to do. So how do we keep on top of what's the best way to package this thing?
I hear that a lot, especially with the social media algorithms changing and Google changing and everything like that. For me, and what I tell my clients is, don't worry about the algorithm. Don't worry about that. Just focus on your message, focus on making sure you're talking to the right people, and eventually the people are going to find you. They're going to find you.
Okay.
So long as your message aligns with what they're thinking and what they need, and you're sharing what you feel and your truth, they'll find you. Wherever you're at, they'll find you.
Well, thank you, because this is where passion meets purpose, and I'm wondering
Yeah.
what passionate, purposeful people are.
Yeah, we found each other, right?
Right.
See?
I reached out and said, hey,
Yeah,
I want some women, amazing women doing amazing things. That's the
you
tagline.
did. You did.
You absolutely are doing some amazing things. So
Thank you.
before I have to let you go, can you give 3 tips to podcasters that are the top 3 things they need so that their podcast can not only be insightful, inspirational, informational, but also be able to help people get what they need out of life?
Absolutely. So tip number 1, goal setting. Make sure that you take the time to set your goals for your podcast. Don't listen to what anyone else is telling you as far as goals. Look within. Make sure you know what your personal goals are for your podcast. That is so important. Number 2, make sure that you don't wait for things to be perfect. When you have something on your mind, something on your heart, even if you don't release it right away, record it, write it down, make yourself a little memo, because inspiration is going to come to you at any time, and you want to make sure that you welcome that, because the more you welcome the inspiration, the more you're going to have it. And number 3, don't beat yourself up. If things don't go the right way at first, give yourself some grace. Step back, look and see what you could have done differently, and grow from there. And those are my 3 big tips, and I hope they help.
Listen, I was making a mental note. Let us know where we can find you, so that all of those podcasters that will not subscribe, but they still watch the show and take little tidbits, and that's okay. I'm here for
That's
that.
okay. That's okay.
You can do that. That they can know how to reach out to you. And
sure. So my website is topshelfvirtualservices.com. And I am on Instagram. My handle is Aeoliana. So I'll spell that. It's AEOLIANA.Elliott. That's my first and last name. So it's 2 L's, 2 T's. And I've just jumped on the TikTok. So on the TikTok, yeah, I did. I just jumped in. And that my TikTok is Aeoliana, hold on, _pod_strategy. And so once a week on both Instagram and TikTok, I go live every Friday to give some tips, quick tips for podcasters and stuff. And so that's where I am. My website has my prices, how you can work with me, how you can book, clarity call or strategy call. I do Voxer support. So yeah, that's basically where all my things are. And, Yvonne will have them in the show notes. I'll send them to her, so she has ways to reach out. And yeah, this has been such a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for coming on and just sharing all of that really good stuff. Because as podcasters, we need it. And then hopefully for my other business people that may need a virtual assistant, they'll reach out to you so you can give them more information.
Yeah.
I thank you so much for being on the show. And as I end every show, y'all keep doing what you're doing until what you're doing gets done. Peace and blessings. Peace and blessings.
Thank you.
There goes a woman of God. I'm a woman, I'm a woman, I'm a woman first. I'm a woman, I'm a woman, I'm a woman too. I'm a woman, I'm a woman, I'm a woman true. I'm a woman, I'm a woman, I'm a woman. Ooh.